Polygon's 𝗕𝗃 is on the cusp of a major change. This change is going to see 𝗕𝗃 do some phenomenal gains in the bullish market. I'm going to go through the technical aspects as to why I think 𝗕𝗃 is something that is important to have as a part of everyone's portfolio. Let's roll the intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to another 𝗕𝗃 update. And as I was kind of talking about there in the opening of today's video, I think 𝗕𝗃 is on the cusp of some major changes. And why I think it's very important that we have some form of exposure to Polygon's 𝗕𝗃 in the portfolio. Now, it's probably worth noting straight off the bat here that I am no financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. All I can do is share my thoughts and opinions in the charts as the data kind of shows me in my own kind of views, right? And if you do have access to a financial advisor, you should probably consult them and they'll know your financial situation better than I do. But I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions with you guys, right? So as we jump down into the charts here for Polygon's 𝗕𝗃, we can see some pretty interesting things, right? We've had a pretty damning bearish market for 𝗕𝗃 here. We did drop down quite nicely, 89.19%. And this is obviously on the back of a fantastic run to the upside, right? Chris often says how he's very proud of buying 𝗕𝗃 at sub 1 cent, right? And 1.5 cents, sorry. And you can see why, because it did over 109,000% gains from April 2019 up to the peak of December 2021. And so with over 100,000 in gains, it's been a phenomenal asset, right? It's performed incredibly well. And well, although we did drop down 89.19% in that bear market, I think we are on the cusp of a major change for Polygon and the 𝗕𝗃 asset. Now, let me explain. As we have entered into a world of spot ETFs with Bitcoin, Ethereum is the next one to kind of get the big approval. Now, with Ethereum spot ETFs, we're going to see massive amounts of inflows for the ETH asset, which is going to have a bit of a big impact, not only on Ethereum as to one of the assets that you should be buying and holding for the long term, but also on the gas fees that you're going to have to pay to create or to kind of confirm transactions on the ETH network. And that is going to be a big problem. The more demand that comes in for ETH, the higher the gas fees are going to be. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, gas fees on Ethereum are based on a bidding system. The who pays more will get their transaction confirmed first. And if you are not willing to pay as much, well, you're at the bottom of the pile. And that is a problem when it comes to the bullish market for the ETH network, and why things like 𝗕𝗃 as a layer 2 are going to be kind of reviewed and kind of seen as the saving grace for gas fees. And so when we take a look at our charts here for 𝗕𝗃, we have to also consider we're going to see something different that hasn't happened before. Now, this isn't anything new. I've been talking about this for quite some time on the channel, talking about how the Ethereum Bitcoin spot ETF is going to increase the demand for ETH, which is of course going to have a profound effect on the gas fees, which means layer 2s on the Ethereum network are going to perform very, very well. And in fact, I would say that it's almost arguably not just going to be layer 2s on ETH, but also layer 2s on Bitcoin and any other kind of ecosystem that is driving out massive change in the future. So for Polygon's 𝗕𝗃 here, we can see that we were in this kind of 89% drop, kind of sideways ranging market. And we are being currently hammered down by our trend line here. Now, if I zoom in on this just a little bit, now I am, of course, recording this ahead of time because I'm having a little bit of surgery done. And so, this may be slightly different. Something may have played out by the time this video goes live. We're looking for a breakout of our trend line here, okay? Or we're looking to kind of come back down more towards the 200 EMA, maybe even that low trend line should something major break, such as maybe US banking or something to that effect. asset, right? We'll look for some kind of selling pressure if we get rejected here. And ultimately, at the moment on this daily time frame, we can see that that is what is happening, right? We're getting rejected on our trend line. The next kind of pit stop is going to be the 50 EMA, 50 SMA. Okay, so 83.74 on the SMA, and the 50 EMA is at 85.3. The 200 daily EMA is 79.16, right? So we could find support here. We lose those, then of course we are going to be talking about losing the 67 level potentially. But for now, that's actually pretty good, and it's actually holding up quite well, right? So for the most part, if we were to see a breakout situation, where do we think this is likely to go? Well, in that next bullish market, I've got a couple of interesting kind of targets, and a little bit of overlap inside here as well. Okay, so we obviously have that kind of real big hopium, I guess, all the way up here at $64. Now, to get to $64, we're going to have to see a significant amount of demand coming in for the ETH network, which means basically an increased demand for the Matic asset. Now, I think the Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to be that massive catalyst. And if Matic is the asset that is, going to be seen as the saving grace, which I do personally believe, then we do have a good strong shot at potentially $64 Matic, which would be absolutely insane. From our low levels, we could see here that from our current price, in fact, that would be about 6,172%, right? Pretty decent. And if we take into consideration the low of the actual bear market that we had down here, then we could see this potentially rocketing up a total amount of 19,000. And again, these are pretty realistic numbers, I believe, considering everything that is going on from a fundamental standpoint. But if we don't want to be that kind of bullish on the market, we want to be a little bit more conservative, well, that's what these two yellow boxes are for. So here we can see we have this one, right? This is the more conservative target range coming in at $4.96 to $11.59. This will be some key Fibonacci areas that I do think have a strong chance of being resistance. Okay, so if we are to move up into price discovery, I think this area between $4.96 and $11.53 is going to be the area where we're going to find that resistance, right, when we go into price discovery. And so we might find that this is a temporary pit stop for Matic before we rally on up any higher. Then, of course, we've got this larger box. Okay, this larger box comes in at $6.18 to $17.29. Again, relates to the Fibonacci sequencing numbers on the extension levels, and shows us with potential here. And of course, we have that overlap, right in that low level and that high level. That there is an area of immense interest for us, the overlap between the lower targets and the medium range targets. And if we were to see a breakout above these areas, then I would expect us to be heading up more towards that $64. Now, I know what you're thinking. What would the market cap be on such a phenomenal price for Matic? And well, it'll be pretty phenomenal, but we have to also bear in mind that price dictates market cap. Market cap does not dictate price. And what I mean by this is the calculation for market cap utilizes price, which means price is a key part of the equation to drive out the market cap. You can't have a market cap without price. And so price is more important. What moves price? Well, supply and demand. Supply and demand are the two things that you really have to focus in on when we're trying to talk about price appreciation for something like Matic. Now, I think we're going to be in a pretty sweet spot with, Ethereum spot ETFs, and potentially, further down the line, we're going to see many, many other spot ETFs as well, which is going to create huge inflows, which is going to create huge problems. And I think ultimately Matic is going to be solving one of those big issues. So why not dive into a little bit more of the fundamental research? Join us down in our Discord server where we discuss things in a little bit more detail. And why don't you check out this video here where we have a little bit more to offer?